Hey, Brad, there's plenty going on NFL tomorrow. Which way are you going?
Yeah.
Are you the Chiefs or the Eagles?
Look, it's hard not to get swept up with what the Chiefs are trying to do, but Malata, you'd love to see a bit of a change. I mean, that'd be good. Mahomes is just a world beater, isn't he? You know, he's sort of trucking up behind Tom Brady in that all-time list at the moment, so that would be the byline for me if he can get it done again. I'm just hoping maybe maybe for Malata and co that they can get it done. I wouldn't know. I couldn't tip anybody either way, to be brutally honest. But you know, it's only going to take 7 hours of your life.
Yes, correct weight. Now, Simon Hill will kick it off. He's not far away. We're talking FA Cup. Chris Nelson, Racetrack Ralphy. Really want to get to Ralphy by about 1:45, no later, because we need to spend time on that meeting at Caulfield yesterday. Courtney Walsh talking about the second test. It's been a lot closer than the first one, that is for sure, Brad. What have you made of it?
Terribly underwhelming, the Sri Lankans.
Yeah, it is.
You would have thought they could have been a hell of a lot better. To get the 257 the other day, you thought, they're a silly chance, but you just knew. You just knew that if Australia did the job on day 2 with the bat, game over. And that's what happened, because it was always going to get harder and harder to bat on. And, you'd think they'd be able to. They spent all of their life there, on turning pitches. You'd think they'd be able to handle it. But
no.
Cooper Connolly, got his chance, which was great. Really, really good. But didn't have much luck with the bat and really hasn't been bowled that much either. So, he'll be better for the run. But I dare say we'll have 4 or 5 changes, Marty. We might talk about that a bit later. 4 or 5 changes from this winning test lineup for the World Championship of the test match at Lords in June.
Yeah, the South Africa. So coming along will be Courtney Walsh, 7:15 to talk about that. Jason Warren, as I said, he'll be on. Chris Pike, Damien, Crudeli rounded out. Richie Bell is in for today as well. Just before we go to Simon Hill. Morning, gents. Waking up on Sunday morning minus a hangover for the first time in recent memory. Hoping to make that a new habit. This is from Alco. Big thanks to Chris Nelson for his tap-touch multi. Capped off a great day on the punt for me. Maybe punting sober is a good thing, Alco, I can tell you. It certainly is. makes up for punting when you've had a few beers, that is for sure. Simon Hill, a very good morning. He joins us now on the Aftermath. Hi, Simon.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Very well. FA Cup action. Let's talk about it and the games that have grabbed your attention. Leyton Orient versus Man City, Coventry versus Ipswich, and Leeds versus Millwall.
Yeah, let's start off in East London. Orient giving Manchester City a real scare last night. By the time I got home from covering the Sydney derby, I was worried because we were 1-0 down at half-time. Jamie Donnelly with an unbelievable strike from almost halfway, which looped up and hit the bar and then went in off City keeper Stefan Ortega. And to be honest, City was struggling, really struggling. But they came out a different side in the second half. Ultimately just edged it. Abdulkadir Kusanov, the Uzbek defender who's become the first Uzbek ever in the Premier League, rather fortuitously getting his first goal for the club, ducking out of a long-range shot, ducking out the way, but the ball caught his shoulder and wrong-footed Josh Keeley, who had a terrific game between the posts for Leyton Orient. And then a moment of real class from Kevin De Bruyne off the bench, sealing the tie. We expect nothing else from him. And even then, City had to weather a late storm of throws and free kicks at a tight little ground and a bumpy pitch. It was classic FA Cup stuff. But managed to get through. In the week, they'll face Real Madrid in the Champions League. So they're going to have to play an awful lot better than that if they're going to get past the Spanish giants. Ipswich hammered Coventry, who got to the semi-finals, you might remember last year. They were very unlucky not to reach the final. Had a goal ruled out by VAR. Not by VAR, I think by the referee, an offside against Manchester United in the semi-final, which a lot of people thought should have stood. But anyway, they were well beaten by Ipswich yesterday, who made 11 changes from their last Premier League match. They had a penalty awarded after just 22 seconds, would you believe? George Hurst converting from the spot. Coventry got an equaliser, but 2 for Jack Clark, 1 for Jayden Philogene, which is his first since signing for the club from Aston Villa. So Ipswich into the 5th round for the first time since 2007. Older listeners might remember that they won the Cup in 1978 against Arsenal. Roger Osborne with the only goal of the game. I'm old enough to remember that. And in the other tie, Leeds that you mentioned, Leeds 0, Millwall 2. Femi Aziz with a double again. Leeds making a lot of changes, 10 changes to their starting 11. They're prioritising promotion back to the Premier League, which is fair enough. They're top of the Championship. Their goalkeeper, Liam Roberts, for Millwall, also a bit of a hero, saving Pascal Struijk's penalty. So Millwall into the hat for the 5th round for the first time in 6 years.
Morning, Simon. Wins for the away teams. Bournemouth, Burnley, Fulham and Newcastle. Brighton, the only home team to register a win in that next 5.
Yeah, and a disappointment really for Everton. I think they would have looked at the FA Cup, even though obviously they want to prioritise staying in the Premier League as well. But they haven't won a trophy since 1995, Everton, and this represented a big chance for them. But Bournemouth are having such a good season. Antoine Semenyo is scoring goals for fun this year. Got one of the goals, Daniel Jebison with the other, both from errors committed by James Tarkowski, who had a bit of a nightmare in defence for Everton. Everton did hit the woodwork 3 times in the second half, but it wasn't to be their day. They've got a big Merseyside derby coming up on Thursday at Goodison. And if you're looking at tips for who might go on and win the Cup, if you're looking for a dark horse, I wouldn't mind betting that Bournemouth are going to go a long way this season. They're 7th on the Premier League ladder. They've never won the FA Cup. They've got such a good side, such a smart manager in Andoni Iraola. And I wouldn't be surprised if they went a long way in this year's FA Cup. The other games that you mentioned, Burnley knocking out Premier League opposition. They're flying high in the Championship. They've got the best defence in the country, conceded only 9 goals all season. Southampton have the worst attack, so maybe no surprise. Marcus Edwards with a goal on his Burnley debut, enough for the win at St Mary's. Fulham too good for Wigan, who won the Cup in 2013. Not a happy memory for me. I was at that final against Manchester City and they beat us 1-0. A double from Rodrigo Muniz, enough for Fulham. They're through to the last 16. Johnny Smith with the reply for Wigan, who thought they'd got an equaliser, by the way, later on. Ronan Darcy scoring, but an offside flag cutting short those celebrations. And a great week for Newcastle. They're into the final, of course. They're off to Wembley in the Carabao Cup after knocking out Arsenal during the week. They had to fight hard for the win against Birmingham from League One. A couple of goals from Joe Willock, his second with 8 minutes to go, sealing the tie. Callum Wilson with the other goal. All that after Ethan Laird had given Birmingham the lead after just 40 seconds with a stunning long-range goal. So Newcastle through to the next phase. They've not won a trophy domestically since 1955. Maybe this is their year under Eddie Howe. And the one game that produced a home winner was Brighton. They defeated Chelsea, winners of the Cup, on 8 previous occasions, the last time 2018. They had to come from behind. Bart Bruggen with an own goal, giving Chelsea the lead after 5 minutes. But Jorginho Rota and Kaoru Mitoma turned it around. Brighton have never won the Cup, beaten finalists after a replay in 1983. I don't know if you remember that final. They had a chance to beat Manchester United in the first game, and it gave way to a very famous FA Cup phrase, and Smith must score, because Gordon Smith was through one-on-one with Gary Bailey, and he managed to flop his line. So Brighton still waiting for that elusive first FA Cup.
Okay, we've got 3 games to look at this evening. Blackburn Rovers play Wolves. Rovers 475, draw 385, Wolves 168. Plymouth $19, draw 850, Liverpool $1.12. And then Villa Spurs. Villa $1.70, draw 425, Spurs 425.
Interesting. Let's start with that last game because I think there's a little bit of value there. Aston Villa probably rightly favourites at the moment, given Tottenham's troubles. But, Spurs are, again, the sort of team, they've had a bad week. They went out the Carabao Cup semi-final against Liverpool. They got smashed 4-0 at Anfield. And, again, Ange Postecoglou's under pressure. But they have won the most recent 2 meetings, scored 4 on each occasion. And Villa, without Ollie Watkins, they've lost John Duran, of course, as well. He's gone off to Saudi Arabia to chase the shekels. So does Unai Emery start the new boy, Marcus Rashford, who signed on loan from Manchester United? He's not cup-tied. But I've just got a sneaky feeling that Spurs might mount a response. again, they're so Jekyll and Hyde, and they were so poor during the week. That's the only logic behind this, because all reasoning tells you really that Villa should win. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham get the win in that game. The other two, I'm sticking with the bookies for that one. Wolves should be too good for Blackburn, even though, again, they'll probably make a lot of changes because they're battling relegation. They've not won the Cup since 1960, when, strangely enough, they beat Blackburn in the final. Rovers haven't won the Cup since 1928. I don't think any of us even remember that. And Plymouth, they will do well to get nil against Liverpool, I think. Liverpool are the best team in Europe at the moment. Again, probably their only hope is the fact that Liverpool might be prioritising that Merseyside derby on Thursday, but Liverpool will win that one.
In the A-League last night, Simon, I think you called that game. Sydney FC and Western Sydney Wanderers was a beauty.
Good game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy game. One of the best A-League games in recent memory, and 32,700 there to watch it as well, which is the biggest crowd of the season. An absolutely fantastic advert for our competition. End-to-end stuff. Two teams who, probably in fairness, can't defend too well, but boy, they can go forward and excite fans. And they put on a real show last night. And Sydney, again, the comeback kings. They've done it 3 times in recent weeks. 2-0 down to Newcastle, and they managed to get back to 2-2. 3-1 down to Adelaide, and they got back to 3-3 in stoppage time. And it was the same last night, trailing 3-1 with just a few minutes to go. Adrian Segacic and Douglas Costa really made the difference off the bench. Segacic has become a real super sub in terms of providing goals. He made it 3-2, and then Anthony Caceres with a late goal to make it 3-3. After Zach Sapsford had scored twice, again against Sydney FC. He seems to score in every single derby, but I tell you what, I could watch that fixture every single week. It's such a good game, and the fans love it too. Brilliant.
Hey, Simon, as a commentator, when you're calling that match, could you feel it that Sydney FC could come back at that stage?
Well, you always had that suspicion purely because of recent history and the fact that they've got such good weapons off the bench. Costa is, a world-class player. He's coming towards the end of his career, of course. He's 34 and he's got dodgy hamstrings, but he's got that little bit of magic in the boots that can just open up a defence. And I won't say that Wanderers sat back and tried to defend their lead. I think it was more that Sydney, imposed themselves on them. But it was. You sensed it when it got back to 3-2 that it wasn't quite done. And you feel sorry for the Wanderers because, to be honest, over the course of the 90 minutes, they probably deserved the 3 points. But, you've got to defend your lead, and they couldn't do it.
Simon, it's a long way to go, I know, but obviously Auckland and Adelaide both last start winners. They've kicked away a little bit further, but there was a mixed bag, wasn't there, of draws and losses, which really made somewhere between 3rd and about 11th an absolute logjam.
Yeah, well, certainly the top 6 is very, very tight. After the top 2, as you rightly mentioned, they've got a bit of a break, a 6-point gap between Adelaide in 2nd and Sydney, who are now in 3rd. And then there's only 1 point separating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clubs. And the Wanderers are only 2 points behind. Victory were beaten yesterday 3-0 by Newcastle, which is a bit of a surprise result. They could have kicked on and really made 3rd spot their own. But again, wasteful with their opportunities. So, yeah, it's very tight. But at the moment, you're looking at Auckland or Adelaide, I think, for the premiership at least, if not the title.
Okay, one game today gets away at 2 o'clock. Macarthur play Western United. 2:35 Macarthur. 3:65 the draw. 2:65 Western United.
Yeah, I think they've got that bang on, to be honest. I can't pick it, which is why I'm going to go for a draw. And by the way, out of 5 previous meetings in Campbelltown, 3 of them have ended all square. Mm-hmm. And they drew 0-0 in Tarneet earlier on in the season. They've both got good young sides. Macarthur have lost a few players in the window. They've made a lot of money out of it, selling the likes of Ollie Jones and Jed Drew, who've both gone overseas, 1 or 2 others as well, Ariath Piol. And they've been very hot and cold at home. But it's difficult to know what to expect from Western because they are such a young side, probably one of the more exciting teams in the competition. They've got goals in their team, Botic and Ibasuki, 14 between them. So I'm going to tip a draw, and I'm going to go for a high-scoring draw as well, maybe to offer that little bit of extra value.
Okay, so we've added the draw to your Spurs to win $4.25, Liverpool $1.12, Wolves $1.68. So the draw in the A-League game takes it up to $29.18. That's worth playing for our listeners today on the Aftermath. Right. Simon, always great to catch up. Thanks for that.
Cheers, guys. Have a good week.
Simon Hill is a star when it comes to the round ball game. And, calling that match last night, listening to it. If you just want to watch the replay, hop onto A-League, and they've got the 6 goals there for you to watch. How good were the Aussie horses in New Zealand yesterday? Well,
terrific.
He had a shock. Terrific. And Bazzasto,
yeah. He texts me all the time, Buzz. He said, going to go good, Brad. It's going to go good. I said, I know, Buzz. I said, it's going really well. Drew won, and I know Annabelle was a little bit bullish about it, but it was a fantastic race. I love New Zealand racing, I've got to say.
That meeting yesterday at Tirapa, we really covered it well, as best as we could. They just Sky don't give you the pre and post like they should. Yeah. And the Herbie Dyke, that Al Vencedor, Rory Hutchins, it was a dominant winner, wasn't it? Dominant winner. They backed it like it was unbeatable.
Pretty happy, Rory, too, when he went across the line just quietly. So,
yeah.
Did he get a fine for that?
He shouldn't, mate. He shouldn't. Because all the punters were with him, Brad.
I tell you what, I've been with it. It's going to be too short now because everyone's found it now. But I was tipped off on a horse that was coming back in its preparation. It's won its last couple, called Willie Do It. Keep an eye on it.
Where's this?
It is got in New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's probably it'll be coming to Australia. Don't worry. Willie Do It. Tell you what, he will all right.
Now, Brad,
he's a beauty.
I got a couple of texts. One from Mario. His text in this morning, and the great man Lindsay Walker texted me this one last night. You were obviously on this at Kenilworth last night. Because I know you're a great follower of Joshua and Solomon's a great jockey up there.
Too Fontaine for me.
No, you must have been on this. Diamond Rock has won there, number 10, and it's paid $590 the win. $590 the win. That beats your 120. What's going on there?
I got no idea.
And $21 a place. You'd be dirty if you just backed at the ticky, wouldn't you?
Yeah. It'd be absolutely filthy.
Get those texts in, 0427 789 571. We're starting to gear up now. Footy talk. I've done a little bit of work, Brad. I think just for top of the table, end of the year,
you're right.
Sydney may be able to snavel that.
Okay.
A little under the radar.
You don't think they're going to be mentally scarred from that inept performance that they put in on last Saturday in September?
Well, what do you?
Well, you try and compartmentalise it, but I mean, Coxie had to raise it. They had to deal with it. So hopefully they can. Look, I really like their group as such because they've got the glue, as I like to call it, because with the boys they're still well and truly in the window. Just like everyone else at the moment. They've just got to keep their crew together because there's injuries everywhere, Marty. It's just unbelievable. So it's going to dictate your luck because when there's only a cigarette paper between a stack of teams,
correct,
you can't afford injuries. You cannot afford injuries because you'll come off second best.
Just looking at their list, they got McDonald behind the pack a little bit at the moment and also McLean, but McLean's joining in full contact around this time. The one stat from last year I liked about them, their away record, they were 8-3. And top 8 sides, they were 6-3. Now, those two key stats, they were the best in the comp by a mile. If they go in and win the flag, then you'd say, well, are they going to deal with a hangover? So they're sort of doomed either way, aren't they?
Yeah, that's true. But you're right about them. I've always sort of tipped with confidence for Sydney because, if they're going to play Fremantle in Perth, well, you could tip them. If they go to play Geelong at Geelong, you can tip them. You're right. In that regard, they've got a really healthy record. Their record probably was the MCG there at one stage, but then you thought, they're coming over that again. But again, it's got set back on its heels with that grand final last year. So,
okay,
anyway,
I know we're going early. We're going to we'll take a quick break. Chris Nelson coming up because we've got to look at Sydney and also up at Brisbane Racing. But get your texts in and let's. From our listeners today, who do you think will finish top of the table at the end of the season? Let's take a break.
Red River's Sunday morning. Tab Radio Racing and Sport is turned on. And you are listening to the dulcet tones of Marty Young and Brad Hardie on the Afternoon.
Yes, and Chris Nelson joins us as well. A very good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Brad.
G'day, Chris. Great to be with you, my friend. And fantastic day's racing at Randwick yesterday and a little bit up there at Doomben. I know Marty was pretty pleased with the winner of race 3.
Balazane. Yeah, he was good. Now, speed, stamina, typical of the stable here. Balazane up on speed, sitting second in the run, was too strong. Now, there were a couple of other nice runs in the race. Baywack, that's the pronunciation, I believe, for this horse that ran second. Big improvement, sat 3 wide on debut. Much cheaper run there yesterday at Randwick. Drawn the inside gate, I thought ran well. So those two paired out late. There wasn't a lot between them. Half a length on the line, but Balazane was too solid off the back of a couple of good trials. Now, Extractor ran on quite well. One that caught my eye was Algorithmic for the Hawks camp. Tyler Schiller was a $51 shot, missed the start, had to then change course about the 300-metre mark and ran on well nearer the inside. Now, I'm not sure about that inside yesterday. The jockey sort of avoided it, but we did get one later in the day that came up along the fence, so I'm still inconclusive whether it was okay or not. Guessing it probably was okay, but still a good run. Now, maybe slowly away by design, did draw barrier number 9. So I think Algorithmic is worth following. Balazane will obviously improve, and so will Beway. So that should be a good form race going forward. They didn't break any records time-wise, but I think some of that form will stand up.
I think a winner of the Golden Slip has come out of the Lonhro Plate in the last 5 to 10 years. I've got to look that up. Don't underestimate this win, Balazane. She's into $41 for the slipper. I think that's still worth a snip because beat the Colts, or she beat the males, and the previous trial she beat Rivellino, who won the Millennium, and this horse was in the Millennium and scratched. And I know they thought it was each way in the Millennium, but they were very confident that she could win that Lonhro Plate yesterday. Will improve with the run. So there's improvement to come. Race 4, well, how do you stop this juggernaut, Bjorn Baker? You can't. You just got to join. You've got to jump, get a ticket.
That's it.
Get a ticket and get on
Take
board.
A ticket. Well, this was a phenomenal win. The fact was they didn't go hard. They trot and cantered in this race, and there's point and shoot. Missed the start by 2 lengths. Sat back last, has reeled off 22.19 for the last 400. That's the winner. To run past them and run past them quite comfortably. This was a dead set sprint home. So for this horse to come from last just tells you how well he is going. Absolutely flying at the moment, and we have to follow him. We've got to keep following him and the stable, obviously. Punton was okay, but was up on pace, was suited to take the stablemate. I thought Mare of Mount Buller was a nice enough return. We know she's got a bit of class about her. She worked into the clear at about the 250-metre mark and finished off well into third. She'll appreciate further and with that run under her belt. But, gee, all honours with the winner, and I will be keeping following him, that's for sure.
Yep. Chris, I know you were busy, but there is a corporate bookmaker on the Sky coverage who have a lay of the day, Marty.
Yes.
So far this year, they are 0-5. It was the lay of the day yesterday. So if you want to win a punters, tune in next Saturday. Because whoever they lay
I sometimes think that's a parody of some sort because they put up horses as lay of the day that look models. I can't quite work that out. There must be more to it than that.
Well, she's an A-lister again for Bjorn Baker and Jason Collett this time in race number 6.
Yeah, the sprint race of the day. She's an A-lister resume. She sat off speed, travelled beautifully, and then let down well in the straight to score. The Black Cloud. Now, she's a mare that showed a lot early on. She didn't come up last preparation. She only had a couple of runs. She was much better here, and she'll strip fitter next time. They did pair out a little bit, these two. World Alliance was good late. Ran on well. First defeat in 4 attempts first up. Has a good second up record, so keep that in mind. World Alliance has come back well once again, so one to follow out of the race probably there. That's about it out of that race.
Well, give us review the English Millennium because Rivellino was terrific, but there was a winner in the field alone because I think it was a lady syndicate, regardless of their horse where it ran. They got 400,000, Marty.
Yep.
How did that work out? How do you ever run a race like that? Could run? I don't know. I'm trying to work it. I missed the name of the horse, but there was a syndicate for this race, and if it was all women, and it made this particular race, didn't matter if it won or not. they won 400,000. Seriously.
400,000. That's a good gig. I don't know. I wish I could have got involved, but I'm not a woman, so it's probably hard. But
well, you can always change it these days.
Yeah, I know. Well,
just whack a dress on.
Now, the winner was... look, they all came from the back here. Now, I will tell you, this race, they did not run any time.
No.
So the form going forward out of this race, I'm a little bit dubious about. And the back markers had it within the Law second, Rivellino first. Both came from the back of the field. Look, nothing against either. They were both good wins. I thought of the beaten brigade, Grafter Burners, the Kelly Schweida trained filly was very good from up this way. Keeps running on. There is a good race in this filly, Grafter Burners, so keep following her. And Sanctified. Now, Brad will know all about
Bradley.
Travelled very strongly, 600-metre mark, just up on heels. And then was shuffled back on the turn and then clear the last 200 metres, ran on very well. Beaten 1.7, certainly should have finished closer, or 1.78, should have finished closer than that. So I think Grafter Burners and Sanctified definitely worth following. But the floor is yours, Brad, if you'd like to get your violin out.
No, I've just filled the bucket up a couple of times already. So no need.
The Eskimo Prince, race number 8. Now, I heard on some radio station in the morning that Public Attention was the best backed horse anywhere in Australia, like it was 11s into 5s or something like this. Get this. So yesterday, Shorty's in here and we're all talking. I looked up, I saw the grey horse and Mick Price up there in Sydney. I said, this is the best backed horse in Australia anywhere, 11s into 5s. So Shorty, as quick as a flash, he's backed it and it won. And he said, thank you very much. And I said, wonder why I didn't back it.
Oh, you're just a good bloke giving out tips like that, that's for sure. Maybe you give you a sling.
No, we're just good mates. But I tell you what, it was a good win. They knew what they were doing.
It was. Well, I missed it. I missed this colt completely. And you look back at his form now, he'd run second in the Guineas Prelude, and he was only, 2 3/4 behind Private Life in the Caulfield Guineas. He's got Angel Capital form, which stood up yesterday, obviously, down south. So, Very good win. He was just too strong for them late. Probably a good form race going forward. Linebacker, I thought, was quite good, resuming as a gelding. Gatsby's ran on well. Just too far back for Gatsby's. He put in a couple of good sectionals, and that last little bit he just peaked, which was fair enough. I thought Snow in May. I was keen on her, and so were the punters, because she was heavily backed as well. She got up on the inside and just sort of didn't finish off, which was quite different to what she'd done at her last prep. She'd been strong to the line. So I'll give her another chance, but I did expect a little bit more. Let's go. That's it from the race. Public Attention. There's probably 3 or 4 we could follow out of that race.
The 3 races we'd like to look at Doomben, if we can, please, Chris. Race 4, nice horse this, Surprise Honey. God, giving a spanking. And Golan's flying, and so is your girl, Emily Lang.
She is, and look, I just wanted to mention this one because the time was very strong out of this race, and Surprise Honey, due to that good gate, was able to camp right behind the speed. But when Emily got her off the leaders back at the top of the straight, she put them away really quickly. And she shows good ability. I think she's better than most of us probably think. That run last time out, she was just a run short, stepping up in distance. So 1,200 metres we now know is not a problem for her, and she's done it in quick time. So we keep following Surprise Honey.
Well done.
I have to say, race 5. Have a look at this if you haven't, folks, already. Ride of the year, Savour the Dream.
How good.
Harley.
How good. He's drawn 10 of 10, and he's out there in no man's land for 100 metres or so, and then he decides to cut back in between horses. You've got to see it to believe it. Ends up running about 4th or 5th, 2 or 3 lengths off the lead. It was just an unbelievable ride early. Whether it won the race for him or not, I think the horse is really good in going places. But look, the ride gets 11 out of 10. The horse, well, he's got a bit of X factor about him, this Savour the Dream. He was very good at Eagle Farm just before Christmas. He hadn't run since then. He'd run in a trial only. And they're going to send him to Sydney in 3 weeks for the Randwick Guineas and then head on to the Rose Hill Guineas. So they've got a good opinion of him, and so has the Martin Harley. He's going to have to measure up to some nice horses, but he's doing everything right.
And race 6, our bucket job from a couple of weeks ago. She got it right. Yes, she got it right yesterday on Termagant.
Well, she's had the best run of all time yesterday, sitting about 1-1 just off the speed, and you knew she wasn't going to go back inside horses. And she didn't, Nikita Berryman. She got to the outside. And I love the way that Termagant knuckled down this mare over the last 100 metres or so. She'll get 1,200 metres now, so follow her. She's only at the early start of her campaign, and she's got a very, very quick, sharp sprint.
Hey, Chris, I know it's not on the rundown, but I did like the winner Sunrays, that 2-year-old by Hellbent of Kelly Schweeters in the first. It really hit the line like a nice horse.
Yeah, and look, Sunrays on debut sat on speed. This time around sat off speed, and I can tell you, look, doing the breakdowns in that race, they did not go hard early. Pretty Dubious had an easy time in front and was entitled to kick away and win. So Sunrays picked it up, put it away pretty quickly. Yeah, you're right. Another one from Kelly Schweeters stable. It's going well.
Horses to follow, and then some winners today, if you got any.
Ramwick, Algorithmic, Grafter Burners, and Sanctified, Brad. And Doomburn, the three we mentioned. I know they all won, but I think they can win again. Surprise Honey, Savour the Dream, and Termagant. Today, there's a couple of morals there, guys, but they're in red figures. So do with them whatever you wish. And they are particularly race 8, number 2, Kilner, and also race 3, number 1, Lady Lucifer. I think they'll both win, but unfortunately the price isn't great. And we'll throw in race 1, number 5, Paperino. He's a little bit better odds and should go close to winning.
Can we get them again? I was a bit slower out of the blocks.
Yeah. Race 3, number 1, Lady Lucifer, first up, should be too good.
Yep.
And race 8, number 2, Kilner. Well, last start maiden winner. I know it's not easy to win your next start, but she's going up against absolute walkers and should win again, or he is. So race 3, number 1, race 8, number 2, and the other one with a chance, race 1, number 5. But I'm very keen on those two shorties.
Chris, you might be able to check that horse's name for a good mate of mine, Johnny, just texted me, said that horse that won the 400k cost $40,000 at the sales. So,
wow.
If you can go back
nice
through the field,
profit.
maybe that's.
And I'm gonna slip one in for you. It was a roughie, first up in race 5 at Randwick yesterday. Horse by the name of Tavolo, Rob Potter. Go back and have a look at its run. It was $61. Don't tell me it's not going to win a race next start wherever it steps out. Hey, Chris, always good to chat. Top of the table this year, 2025. Tigers, any chance?
If they can stay out of the boxing ring and actually get on the field, we'll be okay. I actually think Brisbane Lions will win a couple of premierships. I think they're very strong and they're only going to get stronger for the next couple of years.
Okay.
Really.
So what's happened? Presti's got in a blue or something as well.
Yeah, no, he had a blue. No, I don't. Now I think it's a court case, but there was some blue with, and him and Stephen May were in the vicinity. It's down at Sorrento, which is down the peninsula here, peninsula in Melbourne. Brad would know it.
Is it well?
During the Christmas period. Yeah, he might have been there. During the Christmas period. But I saw Prestia being interviewed this week, and he wasn't too happy with the interviewer's questions and told him where to go. So I don't know what's really going on there at Richmond.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back with Racetrack Ralphy next. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Racing and sport from different angles. You are listening to The Aftermath on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Yeah, Brad Hardie and Racetrack Ralphy. A very good morning, Ralphy.
Good morning, boys. CF4 Stakes Day. We'll start with the positive. I've got a big negative to get to, but we'll start with the positive. That was just two champs. Another Will, who's now, he's not a champion, but he's a Group 1 winner, running down a champion in Mr. Brightside. And, great stables, great jockeys in action. That was a superb Group 1 race to kick off 2025 season.
Yeah, how did the numbers stack up, Ralphie? I know they cleared out. They beat the rest by panels.
Yeah, well, pretty much what's happened is that both those horses, who can handle that ground? Just tell me when you want me to get going on this. Were cleared out, and they pretty much ran to their Another Will's run to his high end number. Mr. Brightside peaked on his run as was looking at the visual. I've got Vince's data through. And definitely Another Will was more forward than Mr. Brightside. I say that with full confidence. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll be a cracking race. I don't know if they go again in the fortnight in the Futurity, or if one, maybe they wait and go the All-Star Mile. We've got to remember last year, Pride of Jenny ran nose by nose third in this race, and then went straight to the All-Star Mile. So it'd be interesting if one of them chooses to miss the Futurity. But they both ran to their numbers, and others didn't. Okay.
Generally, how the track played?
It played terrible. So let's call it as it is. And this track was presented unprofessionally. What happened was, and it's not me. You can just look at the best riders. Blake Shin happened to be on the leader in races 7, 8, and 9. and drawn inside, and he didn't want to go anywhere near the fence. Now, Caulfield is a great punting track because you know where horses are going to be and you know that tactical speed gets rewarded. Yet that wasn't the case yesterday. It was 10 weeks post its previous meeting.
Mm-hmm.
There was a renovation, and that's fair enough. But due to the fire, they had an extra 2 weeks to prepare, and we've had a good summer weather. So it was there's an issue there, which I've got full confidence in this new committee, and you can read into that what you like on what I just said there, but I've got full confidence that they're going to really go through this with a fine-tooth comb and say that isn't good enough. My gut feeling, and I've got no knowledge on this, is that the curator who's been in the job less than a year thinks that looking pretty and nice lush grass and good give is what Caulfield's about, and I don't think that's the case, and I think that there'll be change going forward because that is not good enough. There's times where probably 4 to 6 lengths slower than you would expect on CF4 Stakes Day, and the times, interpretations can lie, but times can't.
Well, it lends itself to the first winner because probably an omen tip. Unthinkable.
Well, that's right. So Harry Coffey had a great
day.
And good to see him rebound. I mean, I found it interesting after Duke de Sessa that we'll get to that he said, he was even thinking of giving it away. That's the thoughts that go through his head. And really what happened over the summer, I'd actually pegged him down a bit with my bonuses because he just wasn't riding winners. Now, doesn't mean you're not talented and you just try and treat it, from an arm's length perspective as a form student. But he got his mouth guard back in yesterday, unthinkable, had the easy lead and win. It was basic company. Liberami needs a dry track and needs tempo. It got neither.
Second event, Emphasise. Now, this horse was a late scratch and Craig Williams got on and did the job.
Well, yeah, we said last week that the horse to follow was the horse that didn't run.
Yep.
And look, he had a bit of market drift, and I think that was sensible because he had to beat older horses who had the mouthguard in and were up and about, and he had to lift from sale because it was a soft tempo, booming closed race. Well, he's lifted, and I think he's a real genuine stay of this guy. This type of figures that he's produced here in what was a fast run race, or significantly fast run race 3, and apples to apples there. So I think you're going to really trust that Emphasise is going to be a real player in the staying races, be it South Australia or New South Wales, maybe via an Alistair Clark. And Inevitable Awards run well, perfect play. It wasn't a perfect ride, and hopefully the kid learns from that because he got stuck behind the horse and went backwards.
Race 3, Harry got he's doubled pretty early on the program.
Yeah, so this also backs up what I'm saying here because let's look at the first two, Garachio and Gran Piero. They both came off 2,800 metre roads and they both handled wet and they ran 1-2. Whereas Shayar the wheels were spinning a bit. They did walk. Berkshire Breeze, if you want to replay what I said about Golden State Warrior last week, same trainer, same jockey, too far back. It wasn't its day yesterday, but Berkshire Breeze, one of the horses to follow from the meeting for sure.
Okay, the two preludes of the Blue Diamond. Let's start with the boys. Field of play. He was very impressive, and so was Blake Shin after the race. He was giving this horse a big rap.
I can't believe it's not shorter, and I think
$5.
It and Tycoon Star, I don't know what you can find it, but at the moment, but Tycoon Star couldn't rate any better under the circumstances, and its trial at Geelong leading in was enormous. So I think they're the two, and let's bracket the fillies because they were pretty slow in the next race. Maybe it was the wet track. I'm talking about allowing for the ground, but I would only want to be out of the two preludes, Field of Play and Tycoon Star going forward. Aleppo Pine, maybe it needs it rock hard ground. No. But this is the thing. There was just nothing on the substance. We did a preview podcast on a Friday. We just couldn't see anything. It won a big margin Caulfield Heath jump out, but it probably tells you about winning a big margin Caulfield Heath jump out. So, the only two I want out of this, Field of Play and Tycoon Star.
Tycoon Star is $15 on Tab Touch for the Blue Diamond. Field of Play is $5, Brad.
It's an enormous each way price. It's been set for this. Grand final days in 2 weeks.
Palm Angel turn the tables on My Gladiolder.
Yeah, there was actually, and looking at this data here, there was a big mid-race slowdown, which is a negative for My Gladiolor. So I think Marty afterwards said that he wouldn't have wanted to lead, and that showed you that he didn't want to lead because he actually dropped anchor there. So look, she might improve, but my feeling going into the race was she was pretty screwed down for a debut. Those who look at SP profiling, Palm Angel started favourite against My Gladiola at Sandown and went on with it here. Wilshire's square was sound, but they were significantly slower than the Colts, and I think the boys might have these covered.
Well, if he was in the WWE, Ray Magnerio, he'd be the WrestleMania champion. Jeez, he's a good horse, isn't he? I mean, how many times did he look under the pump in the straight, and he just keeps coming?
Yeah, and he's funny actually because he's got a record which he's been beaten a few times, but the thing is he's always in the placing. So how do you not admire a horse like that? So what's that? 7, 4, 8. So now he's 8 wins from 18 starts and another 7 placings. So he just puts the mouthguard in, comes to play. I don't think Insurrection could have done any more. But again, if the ground wasn't wet in the first part of the race, it might have had too big a lead. Prairie Flower is airborne in South Australia, so maybe the horses to follow out of this are Insurrection and Prairie Flower because they'll avoid the Oakley Plate. And I wouldn't drop off Mahaba, who needs it dry and will get a weight relief into the Oakley Plate because this stable can get them to improve.
As you know, Autumn Stakes, it was Ancient Capital. The money was on, got the right run, brilliant ride, Malum. Had Zara where he wanted him, and Evaporate had no luck at all. When they meet in the Guineas, I'll be switching. I'm on Evaporate.
Oh, yeah. I've got a feeling too, but I wonder if they run him in the Futurity. He's got an electric turn of foot, this guy. And, this might be the right profile to have a throw at the stumps in the Futurity. As I said, just don't know if both Another Wheel and Mr. Brightside might be looking for the miles. Angel Capital was excellent. Showed he's got a good turn of foot. He showed at Caulfield when it won in September that he can handle wet ground. My fear is if he goes straight to the Australian Guineas, 3 weeks between runs of a very soft tempo, 1400, the difference, as you said, Evaporates a real miler. That might be the go. But I wouldn't be riding off Plymouth either. I think it's got a bit of substance, even though it had a soft lead.
Ralphy, you mentioned on a couple of occasions already, Duke de Sessa. You want to have something to say about this?
Well, no, I was just saying that the point being, of course, that it's a wet tracker. Kieran Maher afterwards said, I didn't think he could win on a good track. Well, it wasn't a good track, so that's the reality. He's come back in terrific order. Marble Arch just keeps being Marble Arch. And I think Chorlton Lane would have won on a dry track. Dashing Duchess, they would have been happy about its return too.
We touch on the Orr, but we wouldn't have mentioned the West Aussie Super Smink ended up hard up against the fence. She was a lot better run than she looked, getting beaten 6.7. And in the last, everyone was talking about Arabian Summer winning, and it did.
It did. I thought it was a tad short price-wise, but you couldn't knock it. And to be a bit like Griffo's other horse, Ray Magnerio, very tough, very honest, and runs well. But from a horse's to follow perspective, I think Mr. Brightside, I think Tycoon Star's going to run a bold race in the Blue Diamond, and Berkshire Breeze absolutely shoulders back.
I had something on Shadavar in the last there yesterday. It was a good run too. Ended up on the wrong part of the track for Johnny Allen again. I'm going to follow it.
Was Johnny watching what was happening during the day?
I'm not sure. Thanks, Ralphie.
On you, boys.
7 minutes past 7 o'clock. Oh, the Saints, Bradley. Are they in trouble or not?
Oh, just like firewood, Marty. Just like firewood. Unfortunately, they had a few go down the other day. Fortunately, Big Max King went down. They thought he had to go off for scans for his knees. Apparently come up clear, so that's good news for them. Mason Wood, who's been a bit of a handy player for them, particularly around goals.
Very good player.
He's done a quad. They say he escaped, but I don't think so. He was way too angry for a bloke whose quad's okay. Jack Sinclair, he's a beauty. He's very good for those fantasy football team players. They say he's done a hemi. Mate, it's his hand. So they just got that mixed up. They just got their M's and their N's mixed up somewhere there. So we're not sure about him. And so there's an absolute cavalcade of blokes getting injured at the moment.
Never seen the like of it.
Yep. But,
this update on the aftermath is brought to you by Tab Touch.
23.9 degrees here in Perth, looking for 28 degrees. Quickly up to Broome 35, Karratha 40, Port Hedland 40, Carnarvon 31, Geraldton 34, Northam 32, Kalgoorlie 45 degrees. Mount 20, 45, Brad, up on the goldfields.
God almighty.
It's never been this hot for 30 years. Mandurah 27, Pinjarra's 29, Bunbury's 27, Albany 28, Esperance 37. So I reckon Barker's going to be about 34 today for racing there. It'll be warm. There'll be plenty of Emu Export on sale, and it'll be icy cold. Make no mistake about that. They love it down that way in the world, the Great Southern. The Wellington and Reeves, great sponsors of racing down in the Great Southern, sponsor the Mount Barker Cup. It's over the 2,000 metres, and it is time to go at 5:30. Brad, the text line has gone bonkers. We need to get to it. Morning, Marty and Brad. Caulfield yesterday, you would have been very happy if you followed Harry Coffey. First winner 12-1, second winner 12-1, third winner 17-1, and fourth winner 5-2. So big day there for
huge day for Harry.
Harry Coffey and his followers. Yeah, they'll be drinking more than coffee, I'm sure. Ted from Mandurah. I'm almost over Steve Smith's animation after every ball of where he wanted to hit the ball or the way the ball is swinging ever since Sandpapergate. He's a great player for Australia, no doubt. But his arrogance and spoiled brat antics when gets out doing the sookie la-la when leaving the ground has to stop or he will lose the faith. Hard to watch at present. He's a great player, had a couple of good knocks over there, but doesn't have to do that. Just stick to his OCD movements.
Yeah. Who was that from?
Didn't have a name, I don't think.
Ava. Welcome to the party.
Ava.
Hello. Good on you, Ava. Yeah, no, with you, Ava. A little late to the party, but yeah, you're absolutely right. 100%.
He's had a good... I think he's made 4 tons his last 5 knocks or something, hasn't he?
Yeah, about 4 in the last 8 innings, I think. So, which is great, but as I said, it was a lean pickings before then. I think it was 1 in 24 or something like that. So good on him, and as I say, but I must admit, it's a little bit like the Brisbane Lions playing North Fremantle, mate, at the moment.
Yeah.
So we're not taking too much out of it.
Okay, Gordy, he's checking if his Sunday saviour from last week was good enough to win the voucher. Soap's working on that as we speak. Okay, here we go. Hi, Marty and Brad. Brad, I think you are all over it like a cheap suit with your comments on the AFL when you say that when predicting which teams finish in the 8 will be determined on injuries or to key players with the teams who at the moment have players with injuries. Will this have a bearing on your predictions who will finish in the top 8? That is from Rusty Gates.
No, I agree, Rusty. Look, it's absolutely treacherous trying to, do the forecast, particularly from last year and this year. There's such a fine line, Rusty, between teams 1 to 14. It's not funny, and I don't say that mischievously. It is. Anybody can beat anybody on a given day, depending on what their personnel is, really. So it's going to be the one that can hold themselves together the longest. They're going to be the ones that make the 8 at the end of the season. But so,
Brad, for the sake of the conversation, we've got to throw something up there. You can't be sitting on the fence. You're not a fence sitter. You never have been. You're going to at some stage have to give us something.
But you've just ramped it up. I said last week, you name me one team that you can say is going to be in the top 4. Now you're saying who's going to be the top of the ladder.
Top of the ladder. I'm going full bore. I'm on steroids. Bang, up to the top.
Up the Swans.
We've got
up the Swans.
Also, I was a bit puzzled. This is a continuation from Rusty Gates. He was a bit puzzled when the Fremantle Brains Trust sent Sean Darcy over to the UAR to see if they could figure out why he kept getting injured, and when it was obvious to all and sundry that he needed to drop a few kegs and get his body in shape to play AFL.
And look, I have this gut feel that he's got bone on bone in that knee, and it ain't going to get any better anytime soon. I don't care which way he runs or not. Apparently, because the reason they sent him at this time because he needed to be able to run to be able to go through the exercise. Well, spare me. The bottom line is and they were telling us how good he was. They stripped him down and gave us a nice photo, and he's going to. Oh, by the way, he's just got to go in for an operation on his ankle to have a bolt taken out. Seriously.
Infection.
How often do they think we have to be suckers for this sort of stuff? You and I played a game. I played a game with the boys, TC and Diggers, a couple of weeks ago. I said, unders or overs are 15 games, and I was well and truly unders. Mate, it doesn't matter if you have arthroscopy.
Yes.
You're going to be out for 2, 3, 4 weeks with an ankle, let alone if you're having a bolt taken out and amongst other things. So Waffle doesn't start till the beginning of April. They've got a few scratchies, etc. Round O is in about the 6th of March. Fremantle play the second week. Look, I can't see him playing the first month. No. To be honest, that's me.
Lisa Vallenbrook, a very good morning to you. You've got it all wrong. It's not Sydney or Brisbane. All the noise coming out of the Dockers camp, they have already won the flag. Brad, hearing Harley Reid's been offered $20 million for 10 years. His girlfriend has been in Perth for a while and due to go back to Victoria to start training with Carlton in the AFLW. She doesn't want to leave Victoria. Harley and the club can say whatever they want. Harley won't be in Eagle colours after 2026. Bryce Cotton has been compared to Michael Jordan. I said 6 months ago that he will leave the Wildcats. He'll be playing in Japan, back with his ex-coach Trevor Gleeson. Take care, enjoy your day, weekend, cheers. And that is from Lisa Vallenbrook. I know we've got Chris Pike coming up. I just want to jump in, Brett. But that performance on Friday night from Bryce Cotton, I don't think I've seen anything like that. That was just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
Gee, Brett. Look, and I hope he stays. And again, I hope he does what he wants to do. I mean, that's he doesn't know the Wildcats anything. He doesn't know me anything. He doesn't know anybody anything. And so I hope he does what he wants to do. But I'm just thinking I'd love to see him stay. I'd really love to see him stay. And there's a 50-50 chance that he will. So we'll worry about it when it happens. But yeah, the Harley Reid story is an old hashed up one. I mean, sometimes it gets a bit quiet, Lisa. And we were talking about that a year ago. I mean, so from that point of view, they rehash these stories because, there's been Oscar Allen, there's been Harley Reid, there's all these blokes going here, there and everywhere. We're not conditioned for it yet, Marty. We're not like the NRL where somebody can line up for the Panthers this year because they're going to play with the Storm next year. We're not to that point at this stage. But anything that happens in management of players, etc., generally happens 18 months in advance. So we're going to hear a lot about it throughout the year, Harley and Oscar and anybody else for that matter who might be up for contract.
Talking about the NRL, there's been 2 pre-season games. On Saturday, the Sharks and Warriors had a 12-all draw, and then yesterday, Panthers 16, Raiders 22. So Sully will be happy about that. We'll get Sully on drive to have a good look at all these pre-season games coming up as well. He's got some thoughts about season bets in the NRL proper as well. But we're talking cricket. Courtney Walsh is our man. He joins us right now. Very good morning, Courtney.
Yeah, good morning, gents. You're right, Brad. There's going to be a lot of discussion to come, no doubt. And it's not just West Coast, it's Geelong and every other club as well. So already up and about the recruiters and the discussions about that.
Jeez.
Yeah, you're right, Courtney. I mean, it's amazing, as I said, again, we're just in that little bit of a lull. We're what are we, 28 days out, something like that, Courtney? So we just need a little bit of fodder, a little bit of something out there, a little grist for the mill for the punters to latch on to.
Yes, and it's, So I wouldn't get too carried away with anything just yet.
Okay, in this test match, Sri Lanka lead by 54 runs but are 8 for 211. Tell us about this match.
Well, I think they've done a good job in the end to actually make Australia bat again. It looked like when they got the early breakthrough yesterday that it could well be that the 150 that Australia led by was going to be enough to ensure we didn't have to bat again. Now there's potentially a tricky run chase later today in Galle, but I think if we can knock them over, pretty quickly, and we know that the Sri Lankan tail's pretty thin, you would imagine that they're probably going to be chasing a target of around 70, and that should be fine, even though the pitch does have some demons now. It's certainly turning and jumping and leaping. But, I cannot see Australia getting beaten the way they've played pretty much since the start of the summer after that horror in Perth. They've been a very, very, very good side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Courtney, good morning, by the way. I was just going to say, Steve Smith's not my favourite, but that's okay. But he's a super player. You've got to have respect, and a very good captain. I think he's a better captain than Cummins, put it that way. But Cooper Connolly, he got himself out. That wasn't too smart. But he hasn't bowled him hardly at all. I'm just wondering where you sit on that. I know Kuhneman's done a great job, and Lyon, they both got amongst the wickets. Do you think he could have used Cooper a little bit more just to give him a bit of experience and try and buy a wicket? But 5 overs in 2 innings is not much.
No, it's a minor. It just, I suppose, is a curious selection because we don't doubt that Connolly's clearly got talent, and they've clearly identified him as someone who will be a long-term prospect for Australia. similar to Sam Constance. Whether they're quite ready yet, that's another matter in terms of first class. But we clearly said that these are the two that will take us forward into the future. If you're going to looking at the fact that we do have a target to chase today, I suspect that if Todd Murphy is bowling yesterday and bowling in the first innings, then Australia is not chasing a target today. I just think that, he's genuine test quality with his bowling. I know they were concerned about the pitch, but when you look at the first innings, the three specialist bowlers bowled 84 of the 98 overs. You're right, Connolly barely got a look in. But Travis Head looked more dangerous as well. He actually looked dangerous compared to Connolly with the ball. And then, again, yesterday, it was Kuhnemann and Lyon because Stark looked a little stiff and sore, not surprising after a long summer. So Kuhnemann and Lyon shouldered almost the entirety of the load yesterday. Webster comes on very late for a little cameo and takes a wicket. Connolly only gets a couple of overs, went for 9 runs. Should he have bowled more? Well, yes, potentially, but I guess they thought that they might be able to knock them over and not bat again. But if he bats at 8 and doesn't make any runs because, let's face it, the job was done by the time he went in to bat, and he was probably encouraged to play like he did, and that's also probably the way he does play. His dad said he was not going to, he was going to live by the sword and not hold anything back, and certainly he demonstrated that in the very brief innings of 6 balls he was going to have a crack. Yeah, look, he'll have far better tests, put it that way, Brad. Down the track, he will certainly have far better track tests. Whether dead rubber, okay, you introduce new talent, I can absolutely understand that, and there is merit in that. So whether it was a gamble in one way, but Australia will most likely still win. But I'm just certain that if Todd Murphy was bowling yesterday, you're probably not batting today based on what we saw. And I think that the low would have been more evenly spread between Murphy, Lyon and Kuhnemann, who have been outstanding, by the way, both Kuhnemann and Lyon. I think they were both exceptional again yesterday.
Kuhnemann, 16 wickets, I think, so far in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, 16 wickets, and Lyon has taken 12, including getting past that 550 wicket milestone, which is, it's exceptional in terms of his endurance and his resilience and reliability. We know it was a leaner summer for Nathan in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, but it was also a very lean summer for the Indian spinners, given the nature of the tracks. They were so pace-friendly, the tracks over the summer, that, for the spinners, it was probably in a similar... Nathan was in a similar boat to Cooper Connolly in Adelaide. He was bowled for 1 over. So, I guess it's horses for courses. I think Steve's probably seeing that Travis Head is getting more jump and more bounce than what Cooper was with his deliveries. And with Kuhnemann so deadly as a left-arm spinner, well, you go with the bloke you think's going to get the wickets.
Courtney, I said to Marty at the top of the program, I wonder why do you come on? Because we look at the World Test Championship down the road at Lords in June. It's going to be 5 or 6 changes, isn't it? I mean, to this current, it's what have we learned? Yeah. What have we learned from this particular exercise here in Sri Lanka at Gaul?
Well, I've been trying to frame that myself, Brad, for a piece later today. I think we've learned a couple of things. I think we've learned that we have got the depth that we may not have considered at the start of the summer. I think when you look at the way Bo Webster has come in, and let's face it, he was probably the number 3 all-rounder leading into the summer behind Cam Green and Mitch Marsh. Now, Mitch is obviously lost form and Cam's been injured, but you think Cam will be back. Clearly, they're identifying a Sydney County cricket leading into that World Test Championship as the way back to him. So we've got the depth in all-rounders. We probably knew that, given you've got blokes like Sean Abbott and that running around that could easily fill an all-rounder role as well. I think that even though McSweeney and Constance have come into the team and gone out of the team, I think they'll be better placed in the future for that experience that they've had. I think that shows that when Marnus is clearly under pressure, if Marnus goes for that World Test Championship, whether it's Inglis who gets promoted, I think he clearly showed in the first test in Gaul that he's got the talent, and we've seen that in white ball cricket clearly. One thing we haven't seen is him do it under pressure. He came in with Australia well and truly on top in Gaul in the first innings, and yesterday, similar to Connolly, well, you come in late with the job pretty much already done. And we know he's had some back issues. it's probably not necessarily a shocker that he's failed yesterday. But I think with Inglis showing signs, with McSweeney showing signs, and with Constance showing signs, there's some hope for the future in terms of that. And the thing that I think we can really take out of it is when we travel to India in 2 years' time, we now have a template for how we can approach that summer with both the bat and the ball. I think if we can show our younger emerging batters and also even some of the older guys how head at the top being aggressive, but then Khawaja and Smith with their hands and with their feet, how they were able to handle the spinners, that's clearly the way to bat on spinning tracks, and they did that with distinction. But we've also got the attack with Kuhnemann, with Lyon, if Lyon's still going around, but with Murphy, and with Head as a very handy sort of option. I think we've got an outfit that in a couple of years can really test and trouble India away, and I think that's what we can probably take from it. That's the main point, I think.
Courtney, for the sake of the exercise, let's line up what this test team can look like against South Africa at Lords for the World Test Championship. So at the top, are we Head Khawaja?
I think it's Constance Khawaja at the top.
Constance Khawaja.
Okay, Constance Khawaja.
I suspect Marnus is in trouble. So whether it's Cameron Green or Josh Inglis that goes at 3, or they tinker with it and decide, what Steve Smith can bat at 3 is, he's clearly been exceptional at 4, but whether it's Smith, Inglis or Cam Green at 3 and 4, I think that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Head at 5, you've got Carey at 6, and then it's a matter of what we do. Does Webster hold his place? If Cam Green's in the team, Webster probably doesn't hold his place as well as good as he's been. I think he has been really good in every dynamic. He's taken wickets with seamers, he's taken wickets with off-spinners, he's batted particularly well on grassy pitch in Sydney, and also yesterday I thought he was really good, and his fielding is outstanding, clearly. He's a human bucket with those hands.
Yep.
And then then you've got Nathan Lyon, Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins with Boland as the reserve.
Yeah.
So realistically, I think it's Webster or Green, and I do think that if it's if Green's not fit, well, Webster clearly plays, and then if it's if it's down to Inglis and Labuschagne, for example, at 3, well then I think you'd almost go with Western Australian.
Yeah,
he's the one that's made the century.
I can't see Green bowling. That's just me. So that brings Webster right into the frame, I would have thought. Yeah, and for a one-off, Brad. I mean, look, they go to the West Indies after that, so it's not just the one test. They've got 3 tests after that to consider through that 2-month span. It's the start of the new cycle of World Test Championships, and that's important. But if Green's not fit enough to bowl, well, then maybe Webster absolutely, presses his claims, because he's been very, very strong so far from what we've seen, and it's a sustained body of work at domestic cricket. Just quickly a word on, obviously, Stoinis decided to pull the pin from the Champions Trophy, which was bizarre because he was in the squad. He probably wasn't going to play. Maybe he's read the tea leaves. I don't know. But, it was an interesting one. So Fraser McGurk is one bloke has been mentioned. Anybody else that could be a possibility to be dragged up the chain?
Well, look, I think based on what we've seen in the last couple of tests, and to be fair, through the entire summer, I suspect that they will go with Alex Carey and Josh Inglis in that same team. Inglis holding the gloves and in the white ball, and Carey coming in, because A, he scores so rapidly. B, he's shown now an ability to play on spinning decks. He shelved the sweep shot by and large that got him into all that trouble a couple of years ago, and he batted superbly the last couple of days, but also in the first test he just looked absolutely at home on the spinning tracks over there. So given the out, it wouldn't surprise me if Carey plays. I think that he's batting well enough to be a specialist batter in that team, in that Champions Trophy team. It's an interesting one. Look, I suspect Sean Abbott probably holds the spot, given he's been around the squad in Dubai and Sri Lanka. I think he probably goes as the all-rounder, and maybe that's what Stoinis has seen. If Sean Abbott's over there and he's getting that sort of, even if he's not playing matches, he's over on those spinning tracks, maybe that's what he's saying. He'll be the one that's preferred as a bowling all-rounder as opposed to a batting all-rounder.
Okay, Courtney, we've got to keep moving. Thanks for that. We'll see this game wrapped up today, no doubt, over there in Gaul, and plenty of Sheffield Shield going on around Australia at the moment as well. Interesting to see Constance back playing as well. Thanks for that. We'll listen to you during the week on the Sports Daily.
Absolutely, please, gents. You have a great Sunday.
There he goes, Courtney Walsh. Take a break. Oh, we've got a winner. Sunday saviour, Brad, from last week.
Oh, who was it?
Oh, Big Muzza.
Who was it?
Big Muzz has got the money. Not a bad little all-up. He went multi. Missile Storm, this is a Bunbury last week. Missile Storm, right. 240. London's Image, thank you very much, 390. Gold Ruby, 330. Up the lot, $30.88.
Well
so
done.
Muzz, get in contact with Soph. You know the number, 0427 789 571. Let's take
between fillies, Gin Spirit deeper, then Miss Celine exit. Well back in the field, out wider is Super Grace, and Lorena's last. So it's My Gladiola held together around the corner. Just over 300 metres to go from Odessa. Wiltshire Square is stoked up on the outside, followed by Palm Angel and Miss Celine. My Gladiola kicked into gear, 200 metres to go. A length and a quarter in front of Palm Angel's out, giving chase. My Gladiola's got a contest. Palm Angel goes up. Palm Angel took the front, and Palm Angel's won it from My Gladiola, Wiltshire Square. And
okay, there is the replay of the Blue Diamond Prelude from yesterday at Caulfield. Palm Angel winning. Jason Warren joins us to talk about the win. Hi, Jason. Well done. Congratulations.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, thank you very much. Exciting day for everybody involved.
Joe's Brad Hardie, mate. Nice to chat to you, buddy. Well done. Congratulations on that. Didn't that race change from the 200 to the 100? I thought, oh, yeah, you're going okay, but you're going to probably struggle to pick this My Gladiola up. But, gee, she pinned her ears back.
Yeah, look, we were very confident going into the race that our filly just took really good natural improvement from her first up run. And we sort of drew very wide first up at Sandown and rode her quiet, not to have a gut buster. Obviously, our grand final's the Blue Diamond, which was still 6 weeks away. So we did have a plan, and it's nice when a plan comes together. Put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, just tracked up beautifully, didn't she, behind that leader? Just a matter of getting off the fence when she did to stretch out. But just looking at her, she's got a bit of length about her, hasn't she, this filly?
She's got a really big stride.
Yeah.
Her equimeter data is quite surprising to see how big her stride is and how fast she can quicken and the sectionals that she can pull off for a 2-year-old. Obviously, still only learning her craft. She's got a high level of ability, and we're very confident when she went to her first start and won the Merson Cooper. So, yeah, exciting times ahead for Rosemont Stud, that's for sure.
Jay, she looks like she'll lead up 1,200 on a fast speed too, which is going to be good, isn't it? I mean, that's what these babies races are all about.
Absolutely. Well, her mother, a pivotal mare, was bought from Europe, and she won over. I think she won a good race over 1,400, and she got out to a mile and maybe even beyond. But look, I think this filly saddles so well, and she's quite tractable and push button. We sort of rode her with a plan yesterday to stalk the leader and just make the favourite work to come across us and just get on its back. And, Ethan Brown executed the plan perfectly, and, away we went. You
mentioned Rosemont, very important for them as breeders by Star Spangled Banner, as you mentioned, out of a pivotal mare. Have you got many horses with them?
Yeah, Rosemont spread their horses around. I do a fair bit of work for them. We educate a lot of Rosemont's younger horses, and I'm lucky enough to have a few stay with us into their racing career. So, look, we do have probably about 8 Rosemont horses in the stable, and we've had a lot of luck for them. We had a winner on Friday night for Rosemont at Moonee Valley, and another Star Spangled Banner filly, and so look, we've got a good partnership, so it works well.
How many you got in work at the moment, Jace?
We have about 35 in training. We've just opened up a barn of 18 boxes at Flemington. So Monday of last week, we started to move some horses into Flemington, and it's working really well. We had Benedetta trial down the straight on Friday, and she'll head to the Lightning Saturday of next week.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got a nice stable of horses in at the moment, and it's working well.
So with this filly, it's just a matter of keeping her where she is now. She's, I'd imagine, she wouldn't be getting too much fitter from yesterday's run.
No, I don't think her fitness is a problem. I just don't want to see her lighten off at all. So we've just got to give her a cuddle and kiss and a cuddle and get her down the beach as much as we can. And Balnarring Beach is just down the road from us, and we're able to just keep her happy and out in the paddocks here at our farm at Greybar Park, and it just works well for keeping these young horses up and running at their best.
Hey, Jace, on a lighter note, I've just got an SMS from a Peter from West Coast, just wondering how Chicago Blues is going.
He doesn't miss much, Pete. He's got I'll tell you what, he has got a very nice horse there. He's by Blue Point, and he's also got a share in a done deal horse that we quite like. So Pete's on the ball, up and about early. He had an injury after winning two trials impressively. That Chicago Blues, he certainly one to put in your black book.
Okay, Chicago Blues. You're going to Bendigo today as well?
Yeah, we've got a Hellbent filly on her way to Bendigo. I've just put her on the float, and she's a big price there, about 35 to 1. But if you put a line through her last start, she just sort of got a bit lost back midfield on the fence. I think she can bounce back and run a decent race.
Little gear change there, blinkers off, winkers on.
Yeah, she just sort of got a bit field shy from not seeing the other horses, so we felt that taking the blinkers off might just help her balance up, and she has been working very well, so I expect to see her bounce back today.
Again, Joe, it's just that you've got a little horse in your stable. If you raced at Mornington every week, it'd win. What's it called? It's just name escapes me.
Oh, tax-free profit. Yeah. He actually won the he tied for the what's called the Mornington Marvel. It's a race, a series that they put on, and the most winning horse at Mornington, he took out that prize this year. So that was a nice little $30,000 bump up for the owners and Grant Syndicates. Yeah.
What's his record there? It's getting up. Is it 7 or has he won 6 or 7?
I think he's probably won about 5 or 6 there. Yeah, but he's always in the money, and he always runs well off it's one of those sort of get back run on sprinters, and he can sit in behind a hot speed and finish off. So he's been a great little horse for Grand Syndicates.
You mentioned Grand Syndicates. Grand Piero yesterday just gunned down late.
Yeah, look, he won the Bagot impressively, which is a 2,800 metre race at Flemington on New Year's Day, and our plan is to get him ready for the Adelaide Cup. So, we freshened him, and we were using yesterday's 2,000 metre race as a stepping stone to in a two-run sort of plan to prepare him for the Adelaide Cup in 4 weeks. So. Yeah, he was terrific yesterday, and hopefully he can get the job done in 4 weeks' time. Okay,
where to for Mrs. Archibald after the win on Friday night?
Look, she's eligible for the Inglis bonus race, which is we bought her out of the Melbourne Premier sale, and she's eligible for the bonus scheme that they have there, and they've got a really good $1 million race at Flemington in 3 weeks, so we'll just freshen her up and have a go there and try our hand. It'll be a big step up in grade, but when the prize money's on offer, you just got to have a go at it.
No pressure, Jason. Our list always like a coming winner. Got anything in the next 7 days that they should be watching out for?
Look, I could confidently tip you into Benedetta. Obviously, one of our stable stars. She's resuming Saturday of next week in the Lightning. Obviously, I haven't seen the field yet, but her trial on Friday at Flemington was excellent, and I expect her to go there and run a bold race.
Okay, and your runner today, Bon Fate for our listeners, is Bendigo Race 3, number 2, set to improve, $34 if you don't mind, Bradley. So we better have a little bit each way on that as well. Jason, thanks for that brilliant win. All the best for the Blue Diamond in a fortnight.
Great. Thanks, guys. Best of luck, and hope you're back a winner.
He's a beauty. Jason Warren doing it all well down there at Mornington. Time for a quick break.
On the Aftermath, you're listening to Marty Young and Brad Hardie on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Yes, they're starting to line up. Lockie Taylor's in the room. Richie Bell will be joining us soon for Racing Rewind. A dirty dozen to get through, if you don't mind. Greg L, he's fired one in on that Retrovision text line, Group 1 boards. There's always a bolter who jumps up 8 places on the ladder and another who drops down about the same. Just wondering, Brad can look into his crystal ball and tell me who it is for my ladder comp this year. Grego, you're not going to get it from Brad, mate. You're better off asking me. No. Brad's giving you nothing.
Hey, has Greg ever thought about this? Maybe there won't be a change. Maybe this is the year there won't be a change, Marty.
No, there'll be 2 at least. Always. I'm an average man. Averages.
Well, don't talk yourself down, mate.
No, I'm happy with average. I take it.
As I say, look, I suppose everybody's flag mantle. They obviously they want to get in there. Collingwood want to get in there. There's a few that are just outside. Gold Coast want to be there. You and I are on them at home. We're not sure about them away.
No, leave me out of Gold Coast.
Yeah. So there's that sort of thing. So it's so hard. I just want to see them. I just want to see them do a little bit.
So what about? We'll ask you about round 8 or something like that.
No, 15, 16. No.
Hey, Lisa's fired up. This is chapter 2, Lisa. Good morning. Just a quick question, Brad. Have you heard that Dom Sheed is calling time on his career? Are there any ready-made good ruckmen who the Eagles could get? They're lacking in that depth. Flynn, very injury-prone.
Yeah, look, I understand. It's really bad luck for Dom. His knee. They need to make a call on that. Look, to be brutally honest, fantastic. He's in the history, kicking that goal, etc. I'm not sure he's going to be a regular anyway this year at the start. That's being pragmatic. So, yeah, they need to work that out, go back in and get one more and to put on their list and get it for need. You're right, Lisa. If they think they need a ruckman, get in there. If they need another key defender to help Jeremy McGovern going forward in 18 months' time, go and get one of those. That's the way West Coast should go about it.
Time to talk NBL. Chris Pike, a very good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
How you doing?
Good. And all of a sudden we've had the regular season wrap up last night in some sort of eventful fashion, and we've got 2 whole days without games, and all of a sudden the finals start now on Tuesday night. Okay,
the final 6 looks like this. Illawarra and Melbourne, they have the week off or the break. And then Perth 3rd, South East Melbourne 4th, they play each other. And then Sydney 5th and Adelaide 6th, they play each other. Is that correct?
Yes. So, yeah, you're right. The Hawks and Melbourne United get a significant break now. It's going to be 18 or 19 days before they play again, because they watch what happens in this play-in tournament over the next week, and then there's a fever break for international games after that, and then the 2 playoff series start. But yeah, fascinating that the Wildcats and the Phoenix now play Tuesday night. It can't be at RAC Arena because of Kylie Minogue. So the Red Army's in an absolute frenzy trying to figure out who gets to go on Tuesday night at the old Challenge Stadium with only 4,500 people there. And then it's almost just like who's left standing with Sydney and Adelaide, both teams limping into the finals, both teams having lost their last 3 games, and then one of them will be eliminated after Thursday night.
Just as an aside there, I heard Mark Arena on radio during the week. He only learned about this Kylie Minogue thing a couple of weeks ago. How does that happen?
Well, as a concert, it's been locked in for a long time, Brad, as you can imagine. And, yeah, I'm not sure. To me, it's a complete stuff up by either the NBL or the Wildcats or both, because they knew that they'd be having to play finals around this time. They knew that they should have at least tentatively booked in RAC Arena to have a home final around this time. So I certainly don't blame RSA Arena because it's, a concert like this is a big money maker. And if Kylie says that she needs a week to prepare, then she needs a week to prepare. There's not much you can do about it. But yeah, for the NBL or the Wildcats to have not had the foresight to tentatively book in the arena for this week, it's a massive oversight because they knew from a long time that the FIBA window starts after this Sunday. So you can't play a game between next Monday and then the following Sunday. So they knew that everything had to be finished between now and next Sunday. So they knew that they would potentially have to play one or two home finals in this week. So to not have something locked in and to not give RSC Arena the heads up that you might need the building, it's a massive stuff up. And I mean, like I said, the Red Army is completely losing their minds, and rightfully so, because they've got almost 11,000 members, and there's probably only going to be 3,000 members that actually get to go on Tuesday night.
Gee, there was over 13,000 there Friday night. Let's talk about that match. That second half by Bryce Cotton, I know he's put in some blinders, but that was sublime.
Oh, incredible. I mean, he was good enough in the first half. He had 18 points at half time, but then to go out and score 31 points in the second half, and a lot of those in the last quarter, 3 massive threes, and then he takes an offensive rebound off Isaac Humphries, the biggest man on the floor, and then goes and has a layup. That play was the one to me that really turned the momentum the Wildcats' favour for the rest of the night. It was an incredible performance from an incredible player. I mean, what he's done this season is well and truly above anything he's done previously in the NBL, and he's already a 4-time MVP winner. But this season is just on another level. It's incredible what he's doing. I mean, to finish the season with 49 points and to put in a match-winning performance, and he loves playing in front of that crowd. It was the biggest crowd of the season for the Wildcats, like you said, Marty, 13,500 people there, and he just loves that atmosphere. The crowd loves him back, and he's a runaway leader to win another MVP tomorrow night once the awards are announced, and he's unstoppable. If the Wildcats win a championship, it's going to be on the back of Bryce doing something special, because you can probably say that, look at teams like Illawarra and Melbourne and even Southeast Melbourne, they're better all-round teams, but nobody's got a Bryce Cotton. Bryce Cotton can absolutely take these Wildcats to a championship over the next month or so.
It's going to be fascinating, isn't it? I don't want to put you on the spot. Marty's been drilling me all year about the AFL. I haven't played a game yet.
I got this one right. Illawarra on top. I got that one right.
No, you have, Marty. You've been saying that from the start.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. So where do you see it, though, Chris? Because I'd much prefer to lead on you than him.
For good reason.
I agree with Marty. I agree with Marty. I think the Hawks are in the best place. I mean, they came into this season with the most stable playing group, so they only made 2 changes from last season when they went very close to getting to a grand final. They've only changed over 2 of their imports, and I would say they've got better with Trey Cal and Darius Days coming in. They've now finished on top. They get to play at home. They're really tough to beat in Wollongong. It's only a pretty small stadium, not much bigger than Challenge Stadium. It only holds about 5,500 people, but gee, it's a tough place to go in and play. And Brian Gorgon, after their loss on Friday night, was pretty scathing on how hostile it is as a Sydney Kings coach to try to even hear yourself think in that building once the crowd's on top of you. So I think with home court advantage all the way through, so anytime there's a series that goes to a Game 3 or a Game 5, it'll be played in Wollongong. I think they're in a really good place. I think they're the team to beat, but the Wildcats, because of Bryce Cotton, I think are their biggest threats. And right now, if I had to pick a grand final series, I think I'd be going with the Hawks and the Wildcats. So
these 2 matches are sudden death, aren't they? Perth, Southeast Melbourne, and Sydney, Adelaide.
No, so not the Wildcats and the Phoenix. So they've both got a double chance. So whoever wins that game on Tuesday night goes straight into the series against Melbourne, and then the loser of that series will then...
Sorry. I should have said they're only a 1-game series.
They're one-off games, yes. So
that's what I meant.
So the loser on Tuesday night will then host on Sunday whoever wins out of Sydney and Adelaide.
Yep.
Okay, so who do you think wins Perth, Southeast Melbourne? There's no betting up at the moment, so...
No, I think the Wildcats get it done again. They've done pretty well against the Phoenix, and I know the Phoenix have got a bit of a chip on their shoulder on a couple of fronts. Firstly, because now they come to Perth for a fourth time this season. They were the ones that drew the short straw to have to play a Hoops Fest game against Perth, which is supposed to be a neutral game, but it's not a neutral game when you're playing at RAC Arena against the Wildcats. So they're coming to Perth for the fourth time this season, and also the last two games when Josh King has been coach, the Wildcats have attempted 50 free throws in those two games. The Phoenix have only taken 21. So if those numbers back up again, then I think the Wildcats will be too good, because Bryce Cotton has taken more free throws in those two games than the entire Phoenix team. So different stadiums. So, I mean, playing at Challenge is a different kettle of fish. So the Wildcats have the advantage of the crowd behind them, but they are now playing on a court that they aren't familiar with. So that does make things a little bit interesting, but I think they get the job done and set up a fascinating series with Melbourne, where they finally get a chance to see if they can beat Melbourne in Perth, which might be one of the more fascinating things to follow over the next few weeks.
Sure. Sydney, Adelaide?
Well, I think Adelaide's upside is much bigger than Sydney's. The Kings looked terrible again on Friday night against the Illawarra Hawks, and Jaden Adams did his very best to get suspended. He poked Wani Swaka-Lobluk in the eye late in that game, got ejected, and he ended up being able to accept a fine for that. But, gee, he looked disinterested at times. Xavier Cooks didn't play in that game, so obviously they'll be hoping he comes back on Thursday night. But Adelaide's upside, I think that they can still be very good. They played a pretty good game in Perth on Friday night. If it wasn't for Bryce Cotton, they'd probably win that game. So I think Adelaide get that done. And I think if Adelaide then goes on to play the Phoenix, I think Adelaide's a good chance to win that game and to end up in a semi-final series against the Hawks, and they haven't lost to the Hawks all season.
We don't want that.
The Hawks, that is the worst nightmare for the Hawks. So I think the best case scenario for the league, though, is if the Hawks play the 36ers and then you got Melbourne and Perth, that is two pretty good semi-final series. So I think that's what the league will be hoping for, because they'll be able to promote Montrezl Harrell a bit more. Yeah,
that was a bit of humour when he got fouled off as well. The crowd gave it to him, but he took it in very good spirits. He was laughing his head off, said, "Yeah, you got me," because he just scored that three-pointer before and give it to the crowd, didn't he? It was some good theatrics going on out there Friday night.
He's an absolute showman, isn't he? He's box office. So I think from an NBL perspective, you're absolutely hoping that he's playing a bit longer during these final series, because everyone will be watching that series if they end up playing against the Illawarra Hawks.
That is for sure.
I think that might be how it plays out, but yeah, I'm not willing to write off the Phoenix just yet either.
Hey, Chris, we'll do it again on Drive during the week. Thanks for that.
Hey, Chris.
Look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
There he goes. Damien Crudeli's up next.
They're ready. Racing, Motor City Sunny jumped quickly, and so too did Sweet Bee. Quickly across to second, the Victorian making a line of three was Federal Focus, and up on the inside would Fleetwood Kazakh, very compact. The Victorian got squeezed. Sunset Lightfoot up on the inside. Back behind them was Sunset Worm. Along with it was West on Gnocchi, second last, and last of all was West on Sydney. Off the back, Fleetwood Kazakh, Motor City Sunny to the outside. 3 lengths behind them, Federal Focus, Sunset Lightfoot around the corner. Up on the inside, Fleetwood Kazakh for Damien Crudeli, takes out the Puppy Classic. Motor City Sunny runs second ahead of West on Gnocchi.
Bradley, you would have liked this win. I'm sure Damien Crudeli did as well. That was a gutsy performance from Fleetwood Kazakh, who won the Puppy Classic. Damien, very good morning.
Morning, Marty. Morning, Brad.
Yeah, congratulations, mate. A bit slow to begin. Is that normally the case?
No, you wouldn't believe it. I was standing behind the boxes, and when I saw him step the way he did, my head dropped, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" And his chasing ability sort of kicked in and just put metal to the pedal or pedal to the metal, and then pretty much got underneath him, which is good that the two ended up rolling off. Just gave us that little bit of room, and we didn't lose any momentum.
I think you're being a little bit understated there, because I just watched the replay again. Your head didn't drop, it fell off.
I'll be honest with you, fellas, I couldn't believe it. We've been working with him all week, getting him keen as for the race. And the one thing I mentioned, I messaged the owner, Angela, over east, and I said, all we need him to do is step. And he didn't step.
Yeah. You know? Is that a one-box thing for him? Has he been out of the one much?
I'm not too sure. I couldn't really answer that, but I do know he was beginning really, really well. But the last couple of starts, as he's come out of the boxes, there's a dog that's sort of gone sideways, whether it was right or left, and he's been cleaned up at box rise, and he's had to work really hard to get into the race. So I'm not 100% sure. Maybe he was a little over keen for the race, maybe.
Yep. Talk about it all the time, though, but the really good dogs have got that tractability, don't they? They work it out and they know where they can see gaps, and the gaps don't close on them. It was just a brilliant performance. You must have been absolutely startled the way he sped through down the back.
Yeah, I was stoked. The way he actually pushed through, I just mentioned to a few guys, it's those sort of dogs that do go on to win sort of a lot of good races going forward, because they've got that ability to be able to go, you know what, we'll still have a crack through there. And well, even in the heat, I think he was in a middle draw, and he got cleaned up at the start, and he was back at about 6th or 7th or something like that. And he just kept pushing and pushing, and he only come second in the heat to that Motor City Sunny. But it was a massive run, and as soon as we drew box 1, all we needed was clear air, which we got, and we were able to get the job done.
Well, it was a terrific win. Now, being Fleetwood Kazakh, Brad wants to know, does he train in a onesie?
No, I said, does he have a rug at home or a mankini?
No, neither.
No. Geez, I was just digressing a little bit last night. Obviously, the heats of the Melbourne Cup and the Temley and the Zoom Top over there in Melbourne. But John Thompson, is he just a freak show? Trifecta's the Group 1 with a 20-1 shot getting up.
You mean Jason?
Oh, Jason.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jason Thompson. Yep.
Yeah. So no, it was good. Look, there was the Australian Cup heats last night, and there were some really good runs last night. I watched that Tim Lee, and it was quite amazing to see Tim Zoo where he settled early. And you just watched it as that one rolled off not the one dog, but one of the dogs rolled off the back straight, and he got that run through. He's been running over 600 and some very fast times, but to run down dogs like Flying Zulu, who was on the fence, and then it sort of just, it was like everything just parted, and he just had that beautiful run through, and it was a huge run to win it. And to finish 1, 2, 3, I mean, he's pretty much a standout trainer in Australia, and always has been ever since I've been in the dogs, and it just continues to produce every year.
Damien, quickly, where to next for Fleetwood Kazakh?
Well, pretty much all we're going to do is just have a look week by week with the dog. He's still very, very young, so we'll just have a look what races there are. You've got all the carnival coming up in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and that whether he's good enough to compete in that, I'm not too sure. If we can fix his box manners, I think we could end up getting on the arm and running, a sub 29.8 run, and that sort of puts you into the calculations for the heats and finals of that series. But look, we'll just take it one step at a time with him. We won't rush too much with him.
Thanks for coming on the show, mate.
No worries at all. Take care, fellas.
There he goes, Damien Crudeli. Quickly, Brad, the Sunday saviour.
Yeah, Bendigo race 1, number 14, Ring My Richie, Ring My Bell.
Yeah.
$4.20. Hobart race 8, number 2, Promises Kept, $3.20. Bendigo race 7, number 7, Junebug, $1.90. 23.15. Happy birthday to Magic Hands, Kevin Kelly, the horse chiropractor.
Oh, yeah,
boys.
give me his number. I need him. Thank you, Brad.
See you, boys.